Brenda Bierke, Senior Director, Cybersecurity Target. Brenda, can we have you on stage? Welcome, Brenda. Ms. Kavita Kadambi, CISO, Infosys. Welcome, Kavita. Ms. Shanta Subramoni, Cybersecurity Leader for TCS. Welcome, Shanta. Ms. Rama Vedashri, former CEO, Data Security Council of India, Advisor, IIT Bombay Trust Lab, and Dallas Venture Capital. Welcome, Rama. The session is going to be steered by Kaushalya Code Magani, Senior Engineering Leader, Cybersecurity Target. Welcome, Kaushalya.
Hey, thank you.
Over to you, Kaushalya.
Hey, thank you, Aditya. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. It is definitely, genuinely an honor for me to moderate this panel and, engage in a discussion with eminent leaders here on the topic of success through diversity, leaning into authentic self. I know you have heard just now Brenda, Kavita, and Shanta, Rama. Authenticity is no longer a buzzword. We all know that, right? Did you know that it's a word of the year for Merriam-Webster, authentic? It is a term that, we are thinking about, writing about, and, aspiring to be, isn't it? Authenticity also has substantially grown in the year 2023 through the stories and a lot of conversations about AI, culture identity, and whatnot. Let's see what is authenticity and authentic is all about, right? Authenticity, is just being completely realistic about ourselves and deeply taking decisions or making decisions aligning to our core values. Authenticity is not about throwing, rule book away. It is completely being self-aware of what are our internal motivators, external influencers, and then fostering towards exceptional success. Paradoxically, the fear of rejection at times can hinder individuals to express their authentic self and mask their activities and behaviors while navigating through certain social situations, right? But ultimately, it is when any individual is being self-aware about themselves, I think that can illuminate or ignite architecting their life and career, fostering towards success. Let us see now and then hear what it really means for our leaders and then how they have navigated through achieving great success here. Maybe, Brenda, I'll start with you, just to hear some of our target experiences also. How do you define authentic self and then, translate that to work environment for you?
Sure. So I think it's really important to know yourself, who you are, who you want to be known for in order to really be your authentic self. And I feel personally, I feel happier and more full as a person when I get to be authentic at home, at work, with my friends, no matter where I am. And really, we spend 80,000 hours of our lives at work, which is a long time. And so I always want to wake up feeling excited to go to work. I wonder what emails I have. I wonder what's happening, as opposed to, oh no, it's Monday, and all of that thing. And so one of the things that I really like doing is I like to solve problems that are really big and meaty and important to the company. And because of that, I'm one of those rare people that really loves compliance. And I really love compliance, not for the day-to-day of it or the walk through sessions and things like that, but I love it because it's so important and it's just kind of like the core bottom line of doing business. And so it's really fun for me to lean into things that I'm excited about. My passion automatically comes through, and I tend to be better at things that I'm excited about.
Oh, thank you, Brenda. Maybe I would like to hear some from Rama as well. Maybe just share your insights, Rama.
Thank you, Kausalya, and it's nice to see DSCI and Target continue the tradition of having this kind of a panel. For me, I see it's not so much about diversity in the cybersecurity domain, because that I came into this domain only in the last 6 to 7 years of my stint, but overall in the technology domain. For me, it was all about while meeting the organizational expectations of me and the role I could deliver, also on what I wanted to also go professionally and how to balance. For me, in the work environment, it was all about, can I do more and more customer-facing work? For in my first 25 years, even towards the end, my role was more external. So I would always shy away from internal roles. And sometimes there is a balance. Sometimes because some of those roles might have had large growth opportunities because you get to manage large teams, and as you grow up the ladder in team management, obviously in every company there are more leadership growth opportunities. So for me, I think very early I've felt that my passion and my excitement was trying to deploy a new technology in a customer environment. And even if it was just an individual contributor role, I was quite happy with it. And if I had to move, because if there was a new strategic technology working with a new sector, and while I was managing a large team as a regional manager, but suddenly I had to become an individual contributor to work with some 3-4 state governments, I was quite happy and excited about it. So it was about not being, so bothered about team management and how big a team you led. For me, it was about working on newer projects, newer technologies with customers. And another thing was, I personally did not want to leave India. So there was also sometimes you tend to lose out on opportunities. In the tech industry, often some growth opportunities come if you're willing to move to some other geographies, US or in the past Asia Pacific, now also Middle East, Europe. So I was okay. I tried to balance that I don't miss out on those opportunities, where I would sign up for something which involved frequent travel but did not involve relocation. I'm sure I compromised on some growth opportunities, but that's a conscious decision I made. So I think being authentic is somewhere it's not easy to get that clarity very early, but over a period of time that clarity will come, and it's good to have those conversations with your management, with your HR teams, to say that, this is the area where I want to specialize in, or, look for growth opportunities. So I would say that is where I navigated my 35 plus years in the industry.
Thank you, Rama. I think some of them maybe, like a lot of us do resonate with that, and then being transparently sharing that, how consciously you had taken some decisions at some point of time. Really glad to know that. Maybe, Shanta, want to hear some insights from you on this topic.
Yeah. Thank you so much. When I look at being an authentic self, I always think it is a double-edged sword, okay? One has to be extremely self-aware and then play to your strengths. But one also has to understand that you should be very comfortable with your skin. So there are it's very instinctive for a lot of people, and it is not for a lot of people. There are scientific approaches to be self-aware. Say, take an MBTI test or a Hogan's report and see, oh, you are a leadership, assertive person, but then when it goes overboard, then are you coming out as domineering? So being completely, openly, brutally honest, authentic self sometimes can be a weakness, and it's important. As women leaders, we have to be doubly successful to be doubly, progressing. So awareness of what part of your authentic self can be detrimental to your career is super important. It is something I have learned the hard way, and I worked on it. So not everything will be natural to you. Idea is to go and pick up roles and do things that plays to your natural strengths, so that one can be very comfortable and can be happy about their jobs. So these are very conscious decisions one has to make, and these are very abstract things that one has to do to your personality. Yeah. So that's something beside your day job, beside the everyday aspect of doing what is required for the organization, which we all do. This is very important. And I have also learned that as you grow up the ladder, these aspects play a lot of part in the perception one creates about oneself, because people remember, and your corrections are not always remembered, course corrections. So one has to be very conscious that, yes, I am in this corporate ladder, I want to be there, and what are the aspects in my authentic self that I need to play down, and what are the aspects that are strengths to me and I need to play up. It's a very, very important conscious decision one has to make. So that's what I have to say.
I think, you just rightly pointed out, just being what I am today may not be what I am going to be at some point of time, right? So meaning not completely deviating from self, being authentic self, but it is more of knowing what I really want to be. I think you clearly called out. Thanks a lot, Shanta. Kavita, I just wanted to hear from your experiences and then how you connected your authentic self to the work environment as well.
So it's very interesting perspectives that that I'm hearing from all of you, and very diverse.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think that it's just one set of thoughts. It's really diverse thoughts here. My view around authenticity is really around the test of authenticity being what has happened post-COVID. You are yourself. There has been no distinction between a home environment and a work environment, between a board environment. As I said at that point in time, I said I had to go around between cutting boards and Jira boards and the real boards, and all in the course of a few hours. How do you bring your authentic self, knowing fully well that there are different personalities that you have to be working with, different individuals and different roles who are out there, and all of them have to be connected. And you want to be successful in all those hats that you put on, whether it's a family hat, or it's your career hat, or it's your hobby hat, and you have to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So your sense of authenticity does get tested. There is no right and wrong. There is no right and wrong. And you have to go along. You make mistakes along the way, as Shanta said. You potentially end up learning the hard way. However, I think you will be growing as an individual in your career, in your overall experience, if you put forward your authentic self. And that authentic self doesn't mean that it's going to be the same across all situations, across all individuals that you're working with, across the different roles that you're dealing with, or different stages in your career. It's really about what is nowadays called the being present, being here, being in the moment. I think there will be a part of you which will be very authentic and which will emerge based on the situation that you're in, based on the people that you're working with, and based on the outcome that you want to be able to go ahead and drive. All of these are aspects, and I guess along the way, as we grow in our own selves in different aspects of our careers, our families, and get more gray hair along the way, we will learn some of these aspects. But I think it is important to bring that authentic self.
Yeah, I think you greatly called out. Definitely diverse approaches, diverse thoughts all the time. And given a thought, I think it's more of giving a thought of just being purposeful about what we are approaching towards. I think that's much more definitely important. Just getting to maybe a little more different question after hearing all your experiences, obviously, which is very important aspect of looking at you as leaders, right? So that's the reason I'm just putting this question across. In what ways do your experiences help network, mentor, and nurture other women in your journeys? I really wanted to hear all of this important aspect from you, Brenda, maybe, and then.
Sure, thank you. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about EWF, which you've heard about in the intro, which is Executive Women's Forum. Target has been a proud benefactor of Executive Women's Forum since 2015, and I've been involved personally even prior to that. It's just an organization that really means a lot to me because I've gotten to learn so much and meet so many fabulous women throughout my career in cybersecurity. So I'm going to tell a little bit of the story. So one year, I was going to the national conference with some other people from the larger cybersecurity team. Of course, I was involved in selecting the team members and that type of thing. And we were all standing around talking at the airport waiting to board the plane. And it all of a sudden struck me that I was the only person that knew everybody, and others didn't know each other, even though we were all at the same company. And so I would say, many of you are probably here with other colleagues that you work with, and I would ask you, do you know who you're with? And it might be a really good opportunity to get to know each other better, because you can network internally. Now, alternatively, I've also worked with Target in India for many, many years. I've had a team there, and given my role in cyber risk, I work across the enterprise. And Target in India has just a fabulous internal network in terms of, we have a group called Swati. It's security women in Target. And there's been so much growth. It became a way to get to know each other, and it's become a development and leadership program as well over time. But in the States, we really had women connected externally, and in India, it was really internal. And so kind of took that realization and brought it together and said, let's bring EWF to India, and let's build EWF Connect internally in the States as well as in India. And so we're kind of building this internal and external network, which has grown even further through a beautiful relationship that we've had with DSCI for many years, and also with tremendous partnership with Wells Fargo, HCL Tech, and through that, we've been able to offer leadership within courses through EWF for women in India time zones, no flexing and that type of thing, and we've offered several classes now, and we have another one coming up in March. And so the 3 corporations, we fund these scholarships, and then DSCI helps us to select the folks who will be awarded that scholarship, and it's something that we're really, really proud of. And I think there's nothing better than getting to know others who will support you through personal and career aspects through those internal and external networks.
Oh, great, Brenda. I think, some of this, me personally getting benefited, I can definitely sign up. Oh, yeah. Rama, maybe just want to hear some of your insights into this.
More than formal mentoring and creating, organizational level programs, which are also equally important. I've been a great believer, and I have seen success of getting role models into the company, where you see a mid-level or even a young professional, a woman professional in any organization take on a completely new role, or get themselves technically qualified and certified. That automatically motivates. Or even it could be a hobby, somebody has taken to running or swimming and won an award or won a medal or whatever. So I see a lot of benefit in creating that informal network of role models, where the young women professionals or mid-level women professionals aspire to be that as in life plus as professionals. And whenever they see a woman professional succeed in a new avenue within the company, or they see somebody else in another company, I think they get motivated, they get a lot of confidence. Because often I see young women professionals lacking that confidence that I can go and be successful in this project or in this. Don't have to talk. There needs to be a way we evangelize them at a company level. It could be at a sectoral level. We see that every time when there is any woman professional who gets into a new role, and which is very difficult or challenging, and makes a success out of it, and the organization and the team obviously is supporting, it's not an individual play alone, automatically there is a bunch of people who look up to that, and not because the organization told them or called them, they ought naturally get inclined towards learning from these role models. Every time you see a successful woman speaker in a conference, so many I see a lot of young professionals coming there and talking because they want to learn, they want to share their challenges. So I think if these role models can give time within the company and outside the company to share, I think it automatically creates a momentum of people, getting inspired, and then of course they will drive their own path. I think we need that spark to be ignited, and role models can ignite those sparks.
Oh, thanks a lot, Rama. Actually, when you're mentioning about this young professional, I really wanted to definitely share one of my recent experience that we had, had in Target. When we had one of the initiative that we had taken up for AISS, Anyone Can Express, under Swati, one of the young professional who had really come up and then shared her authentic story about how she has been discovering, right? So everyone were so well connected with the session and the story that she has mentioned. I really connected very well what you have mentioned. Thank you for sharing that perspective. Kavita, maybe, I just want to hear about your network mentoring experience as well.
Okay. If some of us have been in the industry for a long time, so I'll probably put it the other way. I don't think we would have been here without having our own mentors. And those mentors would probably, it'll probably start young with just your family environment, beginning with that, and your own role models that you would have, and then going beyond, whether when you come into professional life and then growing through your professional career. So I must. I know when I stepped into this role, and as I have done across several roles in the last many, many years, I have gone back to my previous, we never called them formal mentors. They were either managers, they were friends, they were with you in your difficult times, and we've all had difficult times. We've spoken about, hey, this is how I'm here, I hope you continue to be there with me. I think there has to be a sense of humility and gratitude as you go along your leadership journey. On the other hand, you should be able to go ahead and do the same kind of justice as those others did to you over your careers, because only then will we be able to go ahead and see more and more successful women in the whole ecosystem. We're in a very happy situation now in Infosys where we're close to 40% of our entire employee workforce is women. That's a large number. When I joined Infosys, we were not even 5% in my batch. I was less than 5 out of a whole lot of 100. And this was the sign of the times in those days, because I think the number of women who were there in technology were not so high. But it has grown, and we have to be able to go ahead and continue to do justice in our roles as leaders and mentor the women in those capabilities. And they need not be formal. They could be in the form of being spirited towards enabling them towards opportunities that they might not see, but you might see. It could be in the form of leading them towards newer technologies when you know that there'll be some women who might be technically oriented. You might be able to go ahead and associate them with teams where they will be able to be valued better, perhaps which they don't see in their current teams. There are so many aspects that we need to go ahead and do justice to, and I'm sure we all do that. And really networking is way beyond what you see on social networks. I'm personally a recluse. But I think it's really about being able to go ahead and leverage the best for the kind of outcomes and situations that you happen to be in.
Yeah, okay, great. Thanks, Kavita. Shanta, maybe just want to hear your experience from the, mentoring and then being mentored. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. So thank you, Rama, thank you, Kavita. You have addressed most of the aspects, but one of the things that we did was targeted mentoring. So when we looked at the women workforce, there are 3 patterns that stood out. Okay, one, at entry level, what is the percentage of women who are getting into certain types of technology roles? If it was less than desirable in, say, cybersecurity, we took targeted measures to ensure that it was addressed. That is one. Second weakness that we found that in the years 10 to 18 years of experience, very high performing women just fell off the curve. They just did not come back into workforce after taking a break for whatever reason, and or they took on less, I would say, visible, rewarding roles. Even in IT industry, there are some roles that gets you a faster career path, and there are others which will take longer to get you success, right? A lot of women chose to go into those roles which had a lot of longer route to success, right? That was one weakness. The last weakness was a leadership uplift. So whereas at entry level we were close to 40%, at the leadership level it was nowhere close to 40%. What happened in between? Why did that 40% became 10 or even less? So all three weaknesses had to be addressed structurally within the company. It is not informal at all because it is supported by data. It had to reflect in the data. So these were addressed. One, we had women in tech, women in cyber, women in data, quite a bit of a network and a mentoring ecosystem built, a very structured mentoring ecosystem built to support these women who fall off the grid to come back into their fast track, right? That was one systemic effort. Then we had a program called LEAD, which picked senior women to find out why they're not making the cut into the next executive level. What is it? They're super successful where they are, but they're not making the cut. What is that? So that led it to multiple diversified programs to see what needs to be done. And some of it was actually, I would say, perceptions and our unconscious bias that existed in the company, okay? And those biases had to be dealt with. Starting from who is the interview panel? You are looking at an interview panel to recruit women. Is the interview panel women? I mean, what's going on here? So we even wanted to ensure that we had a fair interview panel for external recruitment. What was the constitution there? I mean, we went to a lot of lengths to address it very systematically. That was a structured approach. And we had mentored programs that was time-bound. But we also made sure, because we had these women in tech, women in data, women in cyber kind of an ecosystem, the informal friendships got built where we had forums where we could talk to each other without being observed. It's a free. But this is not very structured still, at least in TCS. And I would think one of the things that we, if I may say, should be facilitated is this friendships across your direct line of hierarchy. You need not have a friend in cybersecurity, but you could be friends with somebody in some other technology and learn from each other. How to facilitate that? We haven't cracked it yet. Okay? So that's where we are at right now. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Shanta. Maybe that made me to think about one question to Rama personally, because I have at least known her personally that, she has been very passionate about women workforce in the cybersecurity industry and how she has driven some of the initiatives, like, especially for the initial portion of, where we are, the women who are starting their career into the cybersecurity domain, right? Can you just share some of those, little elaborately, Rama? Maybe that will help.
Yeah, I think Cyber Shiksha is a program that whole of DSCI team is very passionate about. Because when we look at women in a certain functional area, there are some learnings for us, right? Whether you look at in India particularly, technology industry, banking industry, space, for example, it is because you see so many women in the workforce because women are hired at entry level too in the banking sector. Then in the technology sector, like she said, it was only 5 of them in her batch, right, Kavita? But now we boast of the best diversity in the technology industry. So that's because you are hiring at an entry level. So we had this challenge that in the cyber function, there is not too much entry-level hiring that happens. Most hiring used to happen at a, 5 to 10 years or mid-level. Now increasingly there is a demand and there is an entry level happening, particularly in the provider industry. Maybe in the banking and other industries still entry level is a little lesser. That's when we came up with this Cyber Shiksha program. We had support from Microsoft and other industry partners who came on board, where we said, can we look at final year engineering students who are just going to pass out, and instead of just getting them into a regular software application development job, can we evangelize cyber as a career opportunity and put them to a rigorous 4 months intensive training program, and then onboard recruiters, because recruiters also were not hiring for cyber. They would hire a talent pool at entry level and train them, and then, you know, the company decides into which roles they go, and majority of them would go into application development, at least in the software industry. So we worked on creating that entry level cyber specialized talent pool, and worked with the first 2-3 batches. We struggled to, you know, position them. But as the momentum picked up, many industry members came on board and started looking at the talent pool, right from the global companies, the big 4, plus the services industry, startups. Unless you fill that gap at the entry pool, it's very difficult. We may solve the problem for a year or 2, but in the long term, if you want it to be in an autopilot, self-sustainable mode, we have to start recruiting at entry level and give them those opportunities to grow. So I think programs like Cyber Shiksha or Government of India, MeitY's focus on creating this BTech Cyber. So in this BTech Cyber, now we see that there is, maybe in the first few batches they wouldn't have had, but now we see when you go into any of these engineering colleges or NITs across the country, in BTech Cyber there is enough representation of women students. So all of this, and the moment there is a good critical mass of 0 to 5 years professionals in cyber, I think automatically women in cyber and women in leadership will grow.
Yeah, I think, you know, really glad to see that, because when I was just in the DSCI BPM, one of the, I should say, girl, who had taken a part of the Cyber Shiksha, and then how she navigated her interest area into the cyber security, and how much of certifications she has been pursuing, right? I can connect very well. You know, as we see such programs coming up, how women can very well connect on that. Yeah. And maybe Shanta, you can share some of, you know, such entry-level women, you know, into the cyber security, right? So what are those programs that, you know, under your organization that you are taking it up?
Yeah. So we had 2-3 things done. One, we had a systematic approach to project cybersecurity women role models, to add to what Rama rightfully pointed out. So we did have a good collection of senior women leaders. All our SOC is led by a really smart women leader. We had a privacy leader. So we had quite a few. We made a conscious effort to project them into our workforce within TCS to attract in-house talent into cybersecurity, especially women talent. We had women-only hiring drives, which our HR thought was reverse discrimination. They just didn't. It was a big thing to get that going, but we did have that, especially for experienced professionals. And the COVID era of ease of working from home also attracted women workforce, and surprisingly, there were women who would opt for work from home, and only if they had evening shifts, the 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. shift, because it gave them time to take care of their home and as well as work. And we facilitated that. So we had to do a lot of things that would encourage women to feel comfortable in this field. Obviously, the normal course of certifications and fair treatment of performance and all of that added. But these were extra efforts that we took, and it had a lot of positive impact, actually. Yeah.
It's so fantastic to see how you tuned some of your programs around, you know, to increase the women workforce, right? Just maybe to Rama, one specific question, any specific strategies or tools effective in mentoring women and nurturing them navigate their challenges while staying true to authentic self? Maybe you can share some of the insights over there.
So I'm not a big believer of tools, but overall I think where I've seen this work a lot is, if I span my career of 35 years, I have seen the challenge of young professionals not wanting to do specific projects which are on-site, for example. Can we make things work for them where at least they can do a short-term project on-site with a customer? Because that builds that confidence and it builds that experience. So how do we navigate internally with the teams and with their team managers to ensure that we consciously identify the women workforce who have that potential to contribute more and also develop themselves professionally? So I think if somebody does not want to do a 6 months on-site project, can we give them something which they can do it for 3 to 4 weeks? I think consciously identifying who are those women professionals who have the high potential, and what kind of experiences we need to create for them within the company and externally in the company with whom they can engage. Maybe put them in a cross-functional team. Okay, put them into a team where a sales and marketing strategy for the division is being caught. Maybe that their role does not demand that. Can we attach them to a team which is carving out a 3-year growth roadmap? And just put them in the team even if it is just an observer, because they're in a technical role, they're not having that sales and marketing or customer experience. But can we attach to them so they know how a growth strategy of the division or the department or the company is done? All of this adds to confidence building, I would say, for lack of a better word, confidence building measures. And we need to consciously do this, because you'll be surprised that lack of confidence is one of the traits which inhibits women professionals' growth. So consciously, how can HR plus the line managers do these confidence building measures where you put them in a project where they will learn what the crisis management is all about. Customer crisis, attach them to if you're working with a customer who's dealing with a breach situation. I think we need to consciously identify these opportunities and then track them. I think we need to track and do those listening exercises on whether this experience made a difference to them. If it doesn't, then you need to look at what other kind of opportunities. There is a lot that we can do just internally. We don't have to throw them to some external crisis situation. Internally, at a department level or a new office environment or a new site in the manufacturing, it's a new site. A lot needs to be done. So I think, how do you identify this and then follow through?
Yeah.
What we don't do enough is follow through.
You want some water?
No.
Yeah, good.
I'm done. Thank you. So how do we follow through and track it and let that employee come back and say whether this experience has helped them?
Yeah, got that. Thank you, Rama. I think pretty much that is definitely helpful. I know in the interest of time, I'll actually go to the last question that I have. And meanwhile, if you really have any particular questions, just think through. We will take that in the last 5 minutes from you. Maybe Brenda, to you, this is completely subject to what we are having as a topic. How can individuals navigate of maintaining their authenticity in situations where their personal values may not completely align with the upcoming career opportunities that have? How can the women navigate that?
So I think that question really feeds back into understanding who you are, what your strengths are, what you want your brand to be, what you want to be known for, and just what makes you feel fulfilled. And so I can tell you, several years ago, I was offered a job. It was a promotion. It was a fantastic opportunity for somebody else. It was something that wouldn't make me excited to get out of bed every day. It would have been a short-term promotion, not a long-term thing where, I feel happy about moving along with my career every day. And so I really feel like, while perhaps I could do the job, I probably wouldn't have excelled at the job because I just wouldn't have naturally been excited. And there's one thing around confidence versus knowing yourself, and so I think there's a distinction there. And so that wasn't a lack of confidence. So I think if you were nervous about accepting a new job and it was tied more to confidence, that's probably where we could tie back to mentorship in what we're talking about. And so sometimes there's a time and place for a formal mentorship. I have a specific problem I'd like to solve in the next 6 months, and we can maybe use some tools for clarity and things like that. But it all kind of ties back to networking at the end for me, because ultimately you keep these relationships going and you can call on people who are really excel at a certain topic, and you can call on these people who care to help you and you care to help them, and who knows when you'll need to tap on that. But it's a really nice opportunity and a great way to keep relationships going internally and externally that would help you excel in things that you're naturally fantastic at and you love doing.
That's a really fantastic, Brenda. I think, sometimes it requires a little bit of thought process, and in fact, very deeply. Knowing our inner selves is very, very critical at that point of time to take such step in the career. And, maybe when Shanta and then Kavita were mentioning about, structured approach of some of the initiatives, that made me think about something to call out specifically about some of the initiatives that we have taken at Target. Swati, which is like, I'm very proud of talking about it, of course. And then, how we gave a little structured approach to that particular thing, right? So, of course, initially we evolved it, we formed it as a team. We were about maybe 20+% in the women workforce in the cybersecurity. And at some point of time, we really evolved to give a very structured approach to it. We formed a pillars like connect, learn, CSR, and of course, just not these three. We do a lot of fun activities as well under Swati. And this particular connect really is making us to be able to evolve ourselves to be a confident and courageous people, or women I should say, and then learn, which in a closed group we can learn from each other. Through this connect pillar, not only with individuals, it also provides an opportunity to connect with the women leaders within the organization as well. And CSR, of course, we know it provides opportunity and the platform to be able to serve community as well. And which I can proudly say that is one of the platform which made me evolve to what I am today as well. I'm really proud to say that too. Yeah. With that, maybe I would really want to summarize this, but before that, I really want to give out time for any kind of questions that anyone is having here. Oh, yeah, there is one question.
Hi everyone. So it was very interesting to hear all of your point of views, and it's really very motivating for me at this nascent stage of my career to go ahead and achieve that stage that you have. I am really idolizing all of you guys at this stage. So I just wanted to, all of you have told about like what companies, what corporate and everybody is doing to promote women to come forward in this field. So what, as somebody who is starting at a very nascent stage in this field, what advice would you be giving to all these girls, females who are just starting out based on your experiences? How should we follow the path to reach at your stage, really? So just your point of view on that.
You have to be your authentic self. That's what I would say. You've reached this far. You've gotten started in a career in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is right now one of the most sought after careers globally. It is constantly changing. In fact, it's disrupting itself. And what that really goes ahead and gives you as an advantage, perhaps, genetically, because that's what you're probably born with naturally, is the ability to adapt. Women are known to be more adaptable to their environments and their ecosystems biologically. So in some sense, you do have a natural advantage. So play to your strengths and be authentic. And then you will have a lot of programs which will come your way across whichever organization you're working with. Just like they've spoken about the various things, Infosys, we have something called I Am the Future. It's a program that we run for all our women leaders. We have over 300 of them who are certified. This is a Stanford certification program, which comes across various kinds of skills that we're out there. And it's actually called I Am the Future. And you will have, along the way, a lot of such programs coming along, which will help you. But stay authentic and play to your strengths.
I have planned. You don't have to say the reason. Nobody is obligated to know why you need a 6-month break. You could be doing a Stanford program for all they care. Yes? So be very, I would say, real world and pragmatic in how you deal with these situations. It is something you got to train yourself after a certain level that is expected. And you're dealing with highly competent people who are competed for their lifetimes. And then if there is a less experienced workforce of women and competing in the same excellence field, you got to be doubly sure and be prepared to handle those situations with appropriate toughness, finesse, and diplomacy. There's no escaping that, people. Really, I'm telling you. Okay? Second, put your hands up. When the role is playing to your strengths, go all out and be prepared to beat the competition and put your hands up. That assertiveness has to be there. Okay? I think these are two things that I have learned. Yeah, thank you.
If I may just add, I think you have a lot of men in allies. Co-opt them. I don't think I would be where I am without the men in my team, in my home, in my mentors and managers that I have seen, and just friends that have been there. And I think the world is a very different place now. Certainly, it's not discriminatory in most ecosystems that I'm aware of and I have participated in. And I think there are several ways, tactfully, with finesse, that you can certainly go ahead and get the best of it all. I kind of don't completely agree that there is a price to pay. I think you can have the best that you want. And there will be different situations when you want different things. And I think you should just go play with that.
Thank you. I know, as I said, right, so diverse perspective at different timings, right? So yeah, thanks a lot for sharing that, Kavita and Shanta. Maybe with that, I know we are on time as well, maybe another 3 minutes away. With that, I would like to conclude, right? So embracing authentic self definitely transcends the boundaries of personal achievements, right? And also it bolsters the individual ability to broaden their experiences and their insights. So with that, this helps whatever we are going to be achieving. Being authentic self definitely attracts the collaborators, mentors, allies, and robust network, I should say. It will be a driving force for you, properly propelling the individuals to achieve a greater success. With that, I would like to conclude with Walt Disney attribute. The more you are like yourself, the less you are like anyone else. We are all going to be unique. Be yourself and be authentic. Thank you all.